Hey, what's going on, everyone? My voice is a little shot, but see if I can get through this. As of Friday, I guess the FBI opened up the email investigation again, and the dollar took a turn for the worst on Friday. That's a bearish encompassing pattern. In a longer sense, though, it's basically a bullish retracement starting to form after its first and second break and its pattern. So I'm looking for dollar to come back into support. Either it stopped at support on this level, but I'm thinking it'll come back down to this level or even back down to this level. So there we go. Friday did not look good for the dollar. Closing below the EMA 8. But plenty of support on the way down, so we'll see what happens. And just for the heck of it, let's do a monthly, see where we're at. So the month so far has been really bullish, so I suspect some kind of a retracement. We'll see what happens. It looks bullish from here though on a monthly chart. Here's a 10-year treasury. Nice gap. Maybe look for it to come back into the gap, fill the gap. But on a daily chart, it looks pretty bullish. Weekly, you can see the pop above the 34, the retracement back into the 34 as the EMA 8 crosses, and now we're having the EMA 13 crossing the 34 on the upside. So we got a left shoulder, a V bottom, and maybe a right shoulder going to form next. The pattern break is going to be up here at 2. Let's see if we can get any of this in the picture. It's a longer term pattern. So it needs to get above in this direction, get a consolidation, and maybe I can move higher from there. Otherwise, pretty slow going across the 34. Let's see how the monthly's churning out. Monthly close is coming up next Monday. Looks like monthly we got the V bottom, left V bottom, and maybe a right shoulder coming in as it maybe could bump into the 34 on a monthly. I'm not sure. It's got resistance. It's above the EMA 8 and 30 and 13. Right now on a monthly chart, it's on a pinch. Breaking back into the previous pattern. So we'll see how bullish it is, or it gets stomped out. But this would be a nice whipsaw after the breakdown of this previous pattern. So it could explode on the upside. S&P, see what happened on a daily. Looks like daily chart's breaking down. You can see the cross below the 34 and the EMA 8 and 13 crossing, coming back into a bearish retracement. EMA 8 and 13 does not get above, and the price is below the 34 for a large amount of time now. Look out below as prices may just drop off. Let's look at the longer term. Looks like we got support still. But again, Friday's action. Hang on one second. Yeah, Friday's action was pretty bad. Looking at support so far for the weekly chart. But with everything going on and then election coming up, they might just decide to tank this thing. I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine how it made new highs this year, so anything can happen. Yeah, right now it's weekly chart. You got support. Last lines of support. Looks like a higher high on a monthly chart, but pretty bearish back into support on a monthly chart. Monthly charts are coming at close, so we'll do our review on Monday afternoon. But bearish close on Friday. Let's see, closing on its lows. It's into support on weekly and monthly. Let's see what happens. The election's coming. Dow Jones, same thing. Looks like more of a stair step on the Dow Jones. Consolidation pattern. Looks like a nice, slow, easy bump into support. Looks like the 8's crossing the 13. It's in a pinch. See what happens. It's got to make a decision. You can see the 8-13 bumping into the 34. Pinch is getting closer and closer and closer. Price has to make a decision. But you can see the pattern forming. You can see just by using the angles. Oops. Of the two, or the moving averages. So you see price is in a pinch. So we'll see what happens. But it's the same as the S&P. It's coming into support. See how the monthly looks. Oh yeah, the monthly is like a stair stepping. We'll see what happens. Made a higher high. It's got plenty of support on the monthly chart. NASDAQ, same thing except for the stair stepping. It's got plenty of support on a monthly chart. Looks like we put in a double top, triple top on a weekly chart. It's hanging in there with support. We got support all the way down. See how it fared on a Friday. Looks like Friday closed below the 34. Still hanging in there. You got support on this line here. Looks pretty weak. We'll see. The longer term has support. Plus the consolidation pattern on the monthly chart. Oh no, that was excuse me. It's a long ways to go on the downside, but EMA 8 on a monthly chart is hanging out at 46.63. Not sure if that's a real bearish close, but we do have a higher high. But we also have 2 wicks pointing up and it nearly closes on its low. Closed below the 8, well, it's right there around the 8. It's got plenty of support. Let's see what happens. Deutsche Bank, it looks like it wants to go higher still. Hasn't made its move yet. This could be a longer left shoulder, neck, and maybe a right shoulder coming through. The whole thing making a consolidation bottom pattern. Shorter term, nothing in the way of bearishness. Looks like it filled the gap. Deutsche Bank looks bullish on the close, but I don't think it was. It's hitting resistance on the previous lows. It's above previous double bottoms, so we got support. We'll need an opposing point to complete any kind of a pattern. V bottoms usually don't work very well. It could go up to 1529 into previous lows and get smacked back. The EMA 8's coming to a cross above the 13, so we'll see what happens. Monthly close is coming. Let's see. Looks like a consolidation. Sideways action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months now. It's still in no man's land though. That's for sure. It's way below. It's pretty weak, but it's forming a bottom, so we'll see what happens. The Nikkei, bullish, coming off that pattern. Let's see how that flat top break came out. Let's see what happened. Still working it. Not very explosive. It's coming off a double bottom, coming across the 34, comes back into support, and then breaks a flat top break. We got lots of resistance on the way up, but a break above 17,567. It's closing on its highs. Looks pretty bullish on a weekly chart. Monthly, nice consolidation right over the 34. Closing above the 8. This is what I wanted gold to do so badly. Closing above the 34, 8, and 13 on a monthly chart. So far so good. Looks bullish for the longer term. Nice consolidation, double bottom. Crude's probably having some trouble. Just another bullish retracement forming. Let's see how it fares. Did make another high previously. Let's see here. Hanging in there on a daily chart. Let's see if it'll reverse here or just continue on the downward spiral of everything else. Weekly chart, that looks bearish as far as candles go. But we do have support. It's closing near and around the EMA 8, so we want to always be right there for support. Not much of a breakout though. So this might have been stuffed and now it's going to go lower. So look for previous low breaks. Otherwise it might return on the daily chart. Bounce off of this spot right here. Let's get the gold. Gold, as of Friday, had a little pop, right? You can see the previous breakdown. You can see the accumulation right here. Made a higher low, and it's continuing since then, day by day, slowly but surely. But where I wanted to bounce is across the EMA 8, 13, 34, making that a nice bottom. But as the week closed, it hit the bearish retracement natural course of return and backed off. So we'll see. The next week is going to be very telling whether it consolidates sideways or gets rejected. Obviously, what I love to see is a pop above the 34. Consolidate up here, that way we can get above previous lows. As far as the monthly goes, this is a bullish retracement back into support. Showing the monthly chart here shows me that it's got a long ways to go to come back to its natural point, so we could see some downside at any moment. Again, if it doesn't touch and it churns around from here, I always say that's double bullish. So we'll see. Could happen. As far as the week goes, it's closing again below the EMA 8. Bearish retrace back into resistance. So whenever I see that happen, this is your best short. So anything could happen. I'm hoping that next week it will show something and get above the 34. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in some stupid pattern for a few months until it busts out. But this is the first opposing point. Second opposing point, and we'll see how it opens. Silver, on the other hand, has still a consolidation over the 34. Not enough time for the EMA 8 and 13 to come down across like gold. So it's still in the pattern, starting from the first, the bottom of the break. So following this, it's at its natural point of return on the 34 on a weekly. But a little bit more momentum than gold does, obviously. But again, it needs to get above the 34. It needs to get above the 8. And it's just not doing it. It's consolidating below the 34. It keeps hitting the 34 and backing off. So a lot of weakness. But in the shorter term, it's consolidating nicely. We need a flat top break to get into previous lows. That 1850 was a pretty magical mark. So on a daily, you can see we need to get above the 34. On a monthly, again, bullish retracement back into support. I remember saying backing up the truck as this finishes off. It's consolidation. It's a consolidation pattern, bullish retracement back into support after the cross of the 34. Now that the monthly chart is showing the EMA 8 and 13 across the 34, this might be the last point of consolidation. As far as the week goes, I'm just not sure yet. If we got 1 week, I'm not sure if this is a bearish flag and it's going to carry a leg down. So 1850 to 17, that's $1.50. Could it go another leg, $1.50 down? I'm not sure. Anything could happen. The 8 is crossed over the 13. It needs some kind of action to get above those spots. Right now it's in no man's land. below the averages. Copper. I was looking at copper last night. It's like, oh yeah. Let's see if copper can carry. Maybe a bullish retracement back into support as the 8 and 13 come across next week. That's a pretty good bullish move. Could it carry across the pattern and we can have a breakout pattern? I'm not sure if it's ready yet or if the corkscrew is tight enough. We still have a pattern working here. So good move last week on copper. I'm hoping for the next bull phase of the precious metals will include copper. So beautiful. I mean, what can you say? It bounced right where it needed to, right across the 34.13 and 8, closing on its highs. Did not reach its natural point yet, so we'll see what happens. Maybe a bump up and then a bullish retracement as the EMA 8 and 13 come across, making another bullish retracement back into the pattern. So nice on copper. Let's see how the monthly is shaping up on copper. Oh, look at that. That's a slap in the face. That is a beautiful, beautiful hammer forming on copper. Right above the EMA 8. That's a good sign. We'll see what happens with that. We got a couple. So we got Sunday night, all day Monday to close out the month. Let's see if this can hold, or maybe even turn green. There we go. Let's take a look at some equities. GDX monthly chart coming back into support one more time. You can see there's a little bit of leeway to come back more, but hopefully, yeah, that's a bearish retracement on the weekly chart. See how it bearish retraced. You had your best short right up here as the EMA 8 crossed over. Whenever you see this happen, you might see another leg down. So back to the monthly. Let's see where our target would be. $20 even, I bet. But anything can happen. If this just turns around next week and doesn't come back to the natural point of return, you could say it's double bullish. So we'll see what happens. Let's see how we close the day out on Friday. Daily chart is bearish. You can see the 34 angle. Yeah, daily's bearish. Anything can happen, but 4-hour chart's building above the 34, so that's a good sign. But weekly bearish retracement right there. Back into the resistance and got stuffed. GDX weekly chart, that looks a lot better. Anything could happen, but that might have been its bearish retracement as well. But we do have higher lows. Let's see. Yeah, we'll have higher lows on GDX. We have a double bottom, but the bearishness on the daily needs to improve greatly. See how Monday turns out. As far as the month, this is the ultimate chart, the monthly chart. See the bullish retracement back into support. Long ways to go on the downside, though. It could be up to $10 on the downside. Hopefully it'll turn around on a dime. Yeah, it looks like a bearish retracement. Price closing below the 34 and the 8 and the 13. You never know. Higher lows, maybe a little sideways action. Somehow get above the EMA 8, make a pattern, and then follow the 34 on the way up. We'll see. Great times coming up, the election and the monthly close. As far as JNUG goes, that's a bearish retracement. EMA 8 and 13 cross below. Nugget, same thing. Let's look at the volatility. We want to stick to a monthly chart on the volatility. The gold volatility, it's turning green. Let's see if we can get this above the 34. You can see what happens. Every time this thing gets above the 34. So as far as it goes right now, I got stomped out. Gold to silver ratio. So it looks like silver is the better buy in the past 4 months. As it gains. This is probably your best buy ever. It was 83 to 1, 83.5 to 1. Now we're at 71 and so let's call it 72 to 1. See if I got any more down here. Oh, Bitgold. You can see that U on the Bitgold just took off. Wish I had some Bitgold. Breaking previous highs, flat top break right here, and just has a trend back. The previous pattern was the pennant. Here, see the explosiveness of that weekly pennant pattern. Boom, back into support, and then just made a U, and is not going to look back, I don't think. Not after that weekly pennant breakout. As far as equities, nothing has changed really. Let's take a look at AG. This thing has been tossed. Nice falling star. Tossed all the way back. I'm looking for a bottom on this. This is a little bit of sideways action consolidation, but I don't think it's good enough. See what happens. We got support at 7. FSM, nice consolidation. Gold or silver's looking a lot better than gold in the equities, obviously. We'll just keep it at that. I got a monthly close coming, so we'll work on some equities to see what the next month will bring us. That's it, guys. Plus my voice is shot. Looks like Hillary's going to jail, so you can thank the independent media for that, and hopefully we can start taking care of ourselves instead of worrying about everybody else and making all the rich people richer. Hopefully. So there you go. Let me know what's going on out there. I'll see you.